Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 339 of the podcast. Today is Monday, November the 20th. A couple days removed from UFC Vegas 82, Paul Craig and Brendan Allen. And one day away from my niece's first birthday, which is what brings me to my home state of New York, where I'm spending the week here with my family. A bunch of kiddos running around. So you may hear them making some cameos in the background. It's definitely a great time. Always love getting all the family together. It's especially awesome since my daughter is 5 now, and my other niece, Emily, is 2. So they're able to interact a lot. We took them to a children's museum in Connecticut today. Everybody had a great time. And I'm here, as always, raiding my brother-in-law's whiskey cabinet. I'm drinking here some Ardbeg Anoa, which is fantastic. I don't keep a whole lot of scotch on hand. One, because I like to drink scotch in colder weather, which I don't get too much of in Florida. And two, I tend to drink a lot of scotch when I come to visit New York because my brother-in-law is a big scotch drinker, and he's always got a lot on hand. So this is Ardbeg Anoa. I know a lot of you look to me for whiskey recommendations. I'll say this. Ardbeg is not a distillery for the whiskey newcomer. So if you've enjoyed a lot of the bourbon recommendations I've made and you like the sweeter stuff, I would say stay away from Ardbeg. If you're looking to get a little more adventurous and you like really smoky, really strongly flavored things, maybe venture into an Ardbeg. I would start with the 10-year Ardbeg, though. I wouldn't go into many of the other expressions just yet until you get your feet wet with the kind of Isla Scotch profile. So Isla is an island in Scotland. Funnily enough, I'm talking about this after Paul Craig just fought. So I'm going to give you guys a little a little history lesson on Scotch. So Scotland is broken up into different islands. One of them is Isla, and there are several distilleries there. Lagavulin is probably the most famous one. And to dry out the barley, they have to burn peat, which brings a smoky flavor into the barley, and that translates into the whiskey. And it's very strong. It's very potent. So, and it's something that people either love or they hate. There's nobody that's like, I could go for a smoky scotch every now and then. You're either on board with the Isla scotches or you hate them. People will say they taste like boiled Band-Aids and give tasting notes like that. And my favorite tasting note on Ardbeg whiskey is a rope soaked in tar. That'll always be my favorite whiskey tasting note. And you really do get it. You really do get that kind of tar, that like burnt flavor in these whiskeys. I enjoy it, but I will say it's not for everyone. This is an Anoa. It's one of the more mild expressions from Ardbeg. So it's aged in new charred oak and sherry casks, and they're kind of blended together. So it does give some sweetness on the back end, but up front, it's all peat smoke. It's like taking a sip of like an ashtray. Uh, and so again, some people enjoy that and some people don't. I'm a cigar smoker. Occasionally, I'll have like one a month, if that. So I do enjoy those flavors, but if you don't, I would stay away from these types of scotches. But in any case, cheers to you all and happy Thanksgiving. And a very happy birthday to my niece, Julia, who turns 1 year old tomorrow. We're all very excited for that. We're going to be celebrating on Thursday on Thanksgiving when the family's all here, so we can do her smash cake and all that fun 1 year old stuff. She's a little ball of energy. and she's like one of the happiest babies I've ever encountered. She's always got a smile. Um, and, we're all happy to be here celebrating her. So let me talk about some UFC so I can get back to spending time with the fam here. So UFC Vegas 82, fun card. A lot of rear naked chokes on this one. Let's see, there's one, two, three, one neck crank. We'll kind of count that one. Four, five. Yeah. So five really. And then there was that one ninja choke, which is basically a rear naked choke from the front. So it was a gaggle of rear naked chokes on this Apex card. So the main event, let's start there. If you heard the breakdown show last week that I did with Matt the Mechanic, which we usually do on Thursdays, obviously we won't be recording Thursday this week because it's Thanksgiving. So I don't know when we'll be bringing that episode to you, but stay tuned for that. It's only available on YouTube. So if you are one of the many audio only listeners and you want to listen to the Picks and Pours podcast, which, like I said, usually records on Thursdays, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, turn on your notifications so you can catch that when it goes live. So we were talking about the main event here, and Matt went with Brendan Allen. I thought Paul Craig wouldn't have been a bad bet because he was such a large underdog. I think he was like over plus 400. So I guess I wasn't seeing what the odds makers were seeing, but uh, now that the fight played out, I guess it's pretty obvious I don't really know what I'm talking about. So Brendan Allen coming away with the third round rear naked choke, and he didn't really have much difficulty at all with Paul Craig. And I'm wondering if it could be attributed to the weight. So I know for a fact that it is difficult for Paul Craig to make middleweight. And I know this because I happen to be friendly with a teammate of his who told me years ago. I asked him because this was when Paul Craig was kind of struggling a little bit at light heavyweight. I asked this guy, can he make it to middleweight? And he said he can't. He's tried like some trial cuts, and it's just too big of a cut for him. And I get it. That's the biggest gap between weight classes. It's 20 pounds. But I mean, he did it, and he looks good, I think. But I mean, he does have a big frame. I think it's just a case of he's just a little too small for light heavyweight to make a run, and it's too much of a cut to get to middleweight. But in any case, hats off to Brendan Allen. What a performance. He was able to control Paul Craig on the ground. Obviously, Paul Craig, a ground specialist. He's got many wins by submission. What I liked about this finish is he wrapped up the neck, and instead of going for the hooks, which is traditional for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, your hooks are controlling your opponent with your legs while you're on their back. Instead of doing that, he kind of hooked one leg and then he used downward pressure with his hips, basically to force Paul Craig's hips to the canvas so that he couldn't escape. Um, and I think Paul was trying to squirm a little bit to see if he could get his hips to move. And by then, the choke was in, and he was forced to tap 38 seconds into round number three. But there were some fun grappling exchanges in this fight. They were both going for some leg locks in the first round. I thought it was a fun fight. It quickly went Brendan Allen's way, though. He cut Paul Craig open pretty bad in that first round, and it was downhill from there for Paul Craig. So good fight, though. And I do think that Paul Craig still has a future at middleweight. I know it's a tough cut for him, and I know he's getting older. Let's see, what is he, 35 or so? Paul is so, yeah, 35. Man, that's tough, man. He's got such a big frame. But, maybe after a few more times, maybe he'll be able to master that cut. He was looking pretty worn out even after the first round. So what's next for Brendan Allen? He wants a top contender. I think we do Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori. That makes the most sense to me. I think that's an entertaining fight. That's something I would really love to see. So, let me know what you guys think should be next for him. But that's that's pretty much that's pretty much the only matchup that makes sense in my mind. I don't know if I would give him anyone higher. I mean, maybe Jared Cannonier would be a fun fight. I wouldn't do Robert Whitaker just yet. And as for Paul Craig, maybe we do Paul Craig and Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson's been quiet lately. Um, I wonder if Paul Craig would still be ranked in the top 15. He was ranked 13th going into this. I imagine he's going to get bumped down out of there. And Brendan Allen will probably be somewhere just outside of the top 5. I'd say bump him right ahead of Paulo Costa, who's ranked 6th right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think should be next for either of these guys. But I think I think Brendan Allen and Marvin Vettori will be a really fun fight. But you tell me. Co-main event: Michael Morales, the undefeated Michael Morales, in there with Jake Matthews, who has got to be his most experienced opponent as of yet. And Morales, I thought, fought with a lot of poise. He didn't fight like some reckless kid who has been just demolishing people. I thought he was patient in there. I thought he was picking his shots. He didn't really swarm when he had Jake Matthews hurt a couple of times. And then he would give big flurries at the end of the round. It almost worked against him at the end of the third round because he tried to hit a late takedown to make sure he stole the round, and he wound up getting caught in a guillotine. And then Jake Matthews was able to land some big shots, which may have scored that round for Jake Matthews on some of the judges' scorecards. And he was able to, but it was still a clear 29-28 for Michael Morales. That kid's going to be good. Typically with guys who come in that they get in there with an experienced guy like Jake Matthews, and they blow all their energy trying to finish the fight early on because that's what they've been doing to people. And they have to learn a lesson the hard way. But now he's got wins over, two tough guys in Max Griffin and Jake Matthews. So it'll be interesting to see what's next for the 23-year-old Ecuadorian. And there's a cameo from one of my nieces, like I promised you guys. Um, they're all tuckered out from doing the children's museum. So you know how that goes with kids. They get tired and they get cranky. Yeah, so bright future for Michael Morales. I think we bump him up in competition next. I don't know if we give him somebody in the top 15, but uh yeah, I don't know. It's a tough night out. I wouldn't throw him to like a Michael Chiesa right now, who's at the bottom of the top 15. I'd say let's get one more out of him, and then let's see him mix it up in there, because welterweight is just so stacked. This top 15. I mean, the 15th ranked guy in the welterweight division is Rinat Fakhretdinov. Just to give you an idea of how tough that division is, when you get into ranked opponents. Another rear naked choke victory for young man Chase Hooper over Jordan Levitt. Chase said he stung Jordan with a shot early on, and then Jordan dove for a takedown. There was some fun grappling exchanges in this one as well. It went back and forth, and once Chase Hooper got on the back, it was just a done deal. He was trying to trap the arm of Jordan Levitt, but he didn't even need to. He just sunk in that choke, and it was tight. I mean, kid's probably got a hell of a squeeze. I know years ago he fought a teammate of mine, Sky Moisacek, and the kid was a brown belt at that time, and that was before he was in the UFC. And he was known in the local circuits for his jujitsu. Um, yeah, that was back in 2019. I know he's gotten his black belt since then. So he's been a black belt for a few years now, legitimate black belt. 2-fight win streak now for the 24-year-old who's got a baby on the way, which is wild to think about because he just still seems like such a kid. I can't wrap my head around the fact that This guy's going to be a father. But, good for him. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on, being a young dad. Good for you, man. And I guess Jordan Levitt's got a baby on the way too. So congratulations all around. Another young man, Peyton Talbot, and another rear naked choke win over Nick Aguirre. So he was losing this fight early on to Aguirre, and it was looking like experience was going to prevail here, but Talbot just weathered the storm, and he was getting out grappled. But then Aguirre made it very obvious that he didn't want to stand with Talbot, and he started diving for takedowns, and it was a bad sign. So in the third round, he dove for a takedown from far out, and Talbot was able to pancake him, which is what's called when you basically get an underhook and just flip the person over who's trying to shoot for the takedown. So that's what Talbot was able to do to him. He was able to get on the back of Aguirre and submit him 58 seconds into the third round. Probably the biggest highlight reel of the night, Amanda Hebos gets the win over Luana Pinheiro. She was just piecing her up. She was putting on a striking clinic against Pinheiro. And then and then she was able to land a spinning wheel kick to the face. And I have my niece trying to make a cameo here. Hold on a second, folks. Hello. You want to come say hi? Come here. This is Emily. Say hi. Say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Can you say hello? She wants to be quiet now, but she was knocking on the door. She wanted to come say hello. Can you say hello? Is it your sister's birthday tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Please try.
It's Julia's birthday tomorrow. And there's your daddy, and there's your sister, and here's everybody.
Daddy is just home.
Daddy is home. Why don't you go say hello to him? And, and here's the birthday girl. Here's Julia, turning 1 year old tomorrow. Say hello. Say hello. Hello, everybody. Okay. Now go back out. Okay. I'll see you in a little bit, okay? Oh, you want to say hi again? Hi. Say bye, everybody. Goodbye. All right. And there's the family. So good times here. Kids are in their pajamas. We're going to wind down, watch a Disney movie or something like that. Big contrast to talking about spinning wheel kicks to the face, right? Which is what Amanda Hebos did to Luana Pinheiro. This was just, I talked about this on the Picks and Pours podcast. I thought the experience of Hebos would really shine in this fight, and that's exactly what happened. She was putting on a striking clinic against Pinheiro, and then that spinning wheel kick was the icing on the cake. That will be a forever highlight for her. And then she finished her off with punches late in the third round. All right, let's talk about Mukhtaibek Oralbai, who I hope sticks around because it's one of my new favorite names to say in the UFC. Mukhtaibek Oralbai gets a win over a very tough opponent to make his UFC debut against in Uros Medic. Gets him with a neck crank. So this was basically a rear naked choke with a modified grip. He just wasn't choking him. He was just pulling the chin, and he had this grip where he was pulling the chin straight back, which it looked like he was going to rip Medic's head off. This is after basically getting 10-8'd in the first round. Medic just beat the brakes off of him, almost knocked him out a couple of times, dropped him with some big shots. And then Oralbai was able to get in on a takedown, control the fight on the ground for the remainder of the first round. And then he was able to get him down again in the second and gets this neck crank finish. Very impressive UFC debut by McTybeck Oral by, and I hope we see more of this guy, and I hope we see him soon because I really enjoy saying his name. Here's another comeback win. Joe Anderson Brito was just getting controlled. Jonathan Pierce was throwing him around from pillar to post. Brito had no answer for the grappling of Jonathan Pierce in the first round. Then in the second round, he was able to stop some of the takedowns, still got taken down, and then was able to sneak this ninja choke in on him. The broadcasters were calling it a guillotine. They're calling it a modified guillotine. I'm fine with that. I know all the jiu-jitsu nerds were out there yelling at their TVs. It's technically a ninja choke, which is when you have one arm all the way under the chin, you're grabbing your bicep, and you're using a rear naked choke grip to finish this front headlock choke. If you want to call it a guillotine, it's fine with me. It's technically not. We would call that a ninja choke in jiu-jitsu, but I think maybe broadcasters are told to call it a guillotine just to keep it simple for people, unless maybe they just didn't know. But nonetheless, awesome comeback for Joe Anderson Brito because he was way down on the scorecards, I'm sure. So he needed a finish, and he got it. Another rear naked choke. Jose Johnson over Chad Alhanger at the very end of the third round. So he pulled this one out of his back pocket. Christian Leroy Duncan gets a TKO over Dennis Talulin. Impressive performance there towards the end of the second round. And let's see. I have to see if the only other thing that was worth noting on this card was Trey Ogden and Nicholas Mata. Apparently that fight was ruled a no contest because it was a premature stoppage. I'm not sure what happened there. I didn't catch too many of the prelims of this card, but there's a couple of fights I plan to look back at. Jeka Saragi against Lucas Alexander. That was a first round knockout, minute 31 seconds. I definitely want to see that. And yeah, that was it. That was UFC Vegas 82 in a nutshell. So fun card. Some news real quick. Apparently it's official that PFL has acquired Bellator. We've known this was coming for a long time. And it's official. Oh, Mark Fellows is here, my producer by proxy. And he says the ref stopped the fight due to a choke, but the guy wasn't out. All right, so another choke. It was a night of chokes at UFC Vegas 82, I suppose. So thanks for that information, Mark. So the PFL has officially acquired Bellator. What does that mean for MMA fans? This could be a good thing. Two things that have made both organizations struggle. With Bellator, as people could never figure out how to watch it. They were on the DAZN app, and then they were on the Fight app, and then they were with I think HBO at one point. Like I would know a Bellator card was on, and I would have no clue how to watch it, which is a problem because I'm somebody who is actually interested in watching these fights, and I can't figure out how to watch it. So how do you rope in the casual fans, which are the ones that are going to be paying your bills? The casual fans are the important ones. The hardcore fans, like all of you listening to this podcast and myself, we don't really matter. We make up like maybe 6% of the people that are supporting this product that is MMA. Most of it is getting the casual fans to tune in and buy the pay-per-views and talk about it and tweet about it and all that stuff. We actually have very small voices in this space in the grand scheme of things. So, and the biggest problem with the PFL is people are confused by it. There's like a point system and it's a tournament, but if you win every fight, but you don't score enough points, then you don't move on in the tournament. And it's just so convoluted and so confusing. So hopefully they're able to fix both of those things. They're able to get a network deal where you could just catch this promotion while you're flipping through the channels. Hopefully they're able to get the couple of big name fighters who are in Bellator. I think Patchy Mix has the potential to be a big star who just submitted Sergio Pettis over the weekend and unified the bantamweight championship. Uh, I would love to see Patchy Mix come over to the UFC personally, but I think he has star power that he could bring to the PFL. So we'll see. We'll see if they keep their tournament model, and maybe they'll iron out the wrinkles in the scoring so people can understand it a little bit better. That's what I would like to see. And if they do both of those things, they can definitely be competitive with the UFC. Let's see. Touch on BKFC real quick. I want to give a shout out to Jared Warren, who won via knockout in the main event of BKFC 55, which took place in the United Kingdom on Saturday. You may have seen the clip of me interviewing Jared Warren at BKFC 53. And he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to walk him down and it wouldn't go more than a couple of rounds. That's exactly what happened. So big congratulations to Jared Warren on a big victory there over a guy who's undefeated in BKFC and Danny Christie. So that was huge. And there was actually 2 BKFC cards this weekend. One of them was in Bulgaria. I did not see that. I don't know what happened with it, but I guess it was a fun card. Let's see, UFC Austin coming up. This is a really fun card. We got some great fights. This card is so good. We have Misha Tate on the prelims. How does that happen? How do you do that to Misha Tate? She's MMA royalty. Why is she on the prelims, UFC? What's going on here? We're going to take a deeper dive into this if we're able to do a picks and pours episode this week with Matt the Mechanic. But just very high level right now. Main event, Beneil Dariush and Arman Tsarukyan. This is a really fun fight. I mean, Beneil Dariush was knocking on the door of a title shot until he got knocked down the ladder in his last fight. But a win over Tsarukyan would definitely he'd definitely be able to redeem himself with that, especially if it's an impressive performance. Sorry, guys. It's not the scotch, I swear. It's a lack of scotch. I probably need a little more. Should have primed the engine a little bit better before I did this show. But Tsarukyan is no easy fight for anybody in this division. I mean, this dude fought to a close decision loss to the champ Islam Makhachev. So, he's not laying down for anybody. I think it's a really interesting matchup. Skill wise, they're very similar. They can both strike. They both have outstanding grappling. I think it's going to be a really fun fight. And we got Dan Hooker and Bobby Green. These, like, somebody's lights are going off in this fight. They have to, because these are 2 guys who basically just refuse to give up. These are 2 guys who can both fight, with their lights halfway shut off, which makes for an exciting fight. And these are 2 guys who come forward with pressure. They're both kind of unorthodox strikers, and they both hit really hard. So that's going to be a really fun fight. Davison Figueiredo moving up to 135 pounds, taking on Rob Font. No easy task for him in the 135-pound division. I think this is going to be a really competitive fight. Then something that people have been quiet about, Sean Brady quietly in there against Kelvin Gastelum. Hopefully Kelvin Gastelum finally makes this walk, because I feel like his last few fights, things have been going wrong. And he hasn't been able to get in there. So hopefully we get to see Kelvin Gastelum fight Sean Brady this weekend in Austin. Punahele Soriano against Dustin Stolfitz. That's going to be a banger. So is Amazat Mirzakhanov versus Khalil Roundtree. Those are 2 guys who are always entertaining. Then you got Clay Guida kicking off the prelims against Joaquin Silva. Misha Tate on the prelims, and she's not even the main event of the prelims, like the featured fight on the prelims. This is crazy to me. I like that this card starts early. It's starting at 4 p.m. my time, so that is great news. Cody Brundage and Zachary Reese, Drakkar Close, and Joe Selecki. That's a really fun fight. And Jared Gooden and Wellington Turman down at the bottom of this card. So UFC Austin shaping up all around to be a really fun card. I'm looking forward to that. I will definitely try to get a picks and pours episode in this week, but I can make no promises because we got the holidays, we got family stuff going on. I was barely able to squeeze this episode in, as you saw. My two nieces wanted to come in and make a cameo, which is totally fine because they're adorable. So of course I don't mind, and that's that. But if I'm not able to talk to you guys and give you a picks episode this week, then I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. Those of you who are listening here in the States, be safe, but have some good food, have some good drinks, enjoy some quality time with the family. If anybody wants to grab some MMA on the Rocks merchandise, still in time for the holiday season, reaper1.co is the website. You can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10, save yourself 10% on your order. You can still order in time for the holidays. I don't know if they're doing any kind of Black Friday sale or anything like that, but it's worth looking into. Mark wants to know if I'm sitting in a barber chair because I look dressed for a haircut. No, I'm just wearing. You're not used to seeing me in long sleeves, Mark, because I live in Florida. Now I'm up here in New York. I have to break out my like 3 long sleeve shirts that I own to come here to New York. I'm sitting in my brother-in-law's office right now, drinking all of his scotch and having a great time. All right. In any case, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. And as always, thank you for sharing the episode, for leaving your comments, leaving your feedback, leaving your criticism. I appreciate it all. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, cheers, everybody. Bye.